collectively. At the same time, more organizations have joined demonstrations to honor victims of gender-based violence and femicide in the country. Non-profit organization Women for Change is hosting a national shutdown today. Demonstrators have gathered at Constitution Hill in Johannesburg, where a summit is taking place in solidarity with victims. As part of today's call to action, Women for Change has called on all women and the LGBTQI+ community to refrain from paid or unpaid work and not partake in the economy. One of the participants, Kirabetsu Mupelo, says they aim to raise the issues so that other parts of the world can know what is happening in South Africa.
So we want to take this opportunity to not make it just a national shutdown, but let it be a global shutdown. Have our global organizations amplify the issue.
In Cape Town, small groups of women dressed in black are already gathering at Sea Point for the same demonstration. Carlo Peterson is there.
It's still a few hours before the demonstration formally gets underway, but small pockets of women dressed in black can already be seen walking up and down Sea Point Promenade. Thousands more are expected to brave the heat in Cape Town today to gather here to heed the NGO Women for Change's call for support. The NGO is hosting lie-downs across the country from 12 to 12:15 to mourn the 15 women murdered in the country every day. The organization has urged government to declare femicide a national disaster to free up more resources needed to tackle the scourge. Women for Change are also hoping the shutdown will spark broader conversations about deeply rooted cultural issues related to gender-based violence. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News at Sea Point Promenade.
Authorities are on high alert as world leaders continue to arrive ahead of this weekend's G20 summit in Johannesburg. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer was the latest to arrive this morning, landing at the OR Tambo International Airport. He joins other world leaders like Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who touched down yesterday. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also expected to land later today, while the United States remains adamant that it will not be participating. Babalon Denze has more.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer landed at OR Tambo International Airport earlier today, where he was received by Deputy Minister of International Relations, Alvin Puertas. His Indian counterpart, Narendra Modi, has already boarded his flight to South Africa, according to local media in the country, and is expected to land later today. This will be Modi's 12th G20 summit since he became Prime Minister, according to India's Ministry of External Affairs. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim landed at Waterkloof Air Force Military Base in Pretoria last night, where he was welcomed by Deputy Defence Minister Bantu Holomisa. Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture John Steenhuisen earlier today received the Prime Minister of Vietnam, Pham Minh Chinh, ahead of the Southeast Asian country's participation in strategic G20 engagements. Baba Londenza, Eyewitness News.
The DA in Gauteng is urging authorities to fast-track the sale of assets seized from alleged Tembisa hospital tender fraudster Hangwani Maumela. The party held a picket outside Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi's office in Johannesburg yesterday, calling for the recovery of 2 billion rand looted from that hospital. Last month, the Special Investigating Unit seized nearly 150 million rand worth of assets, including luxury vehicles and high-end artwork. Gauteng DA Health spokesperson Jack Bloom says the assets should be sold without delay.
We demand the following. 1. A speedy process to sell off the seized assets so money is directly returned to assist hospital patients. Secondly, criminal charges against all those implicated in the looting, regardless of their high positions or political connections.
And at least 3 people have been killed in a powerful earthquake that struck Bangladesh today. The 5.5 magnitude quake struck near the city of Narsigdi, about 33 kilometers from the capital Dhaka. The earthquake sparked terror in the country of 170 million people. Gold is trading at $4,074.78 an ounce. The rand is at 17.23 to the dollar, 22.53 to the pound, 19.86 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.54 a barrel.
Kempton Park, R21 southbound remains restricted to traffic between Atlas and Voortrekker Road. That's due to the G20 delegate convoys making their through towards Joburg Sandton. Expect also about a 20-minute delay that's coming through from Tembisa heading towards OR Tambo International Airport.
Other routes restricted to traffic include the R24 westbound between Barbara Road and the Gilulis Interchange, as well as the N3 northbound between the Gilulis Interchange and the Batlu Interchange. As a result of that, there's heavy delays on the N3 northbound through Bedfordview.
It's a partly cloudy Friday in Gauteng with thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 26 and 27 degrees, while Cape Town is fine with a strong southeasterly wind at a high of 27. The top story in EWN, government has officially classified gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702 on 92.7 and 106 FM.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
And on DSTV channel 856.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. Very good afternoon to you. I'm Jane Dutton in for Mandy Wiener. And it seems that our country only really responds to important events when the world's eyes are on us. Better roads ahead of the G20. And then today, government issues a classification of gender-based violence, which actually, in the big scheme of things and what's happening on the streets, means very little. Why don't they declare a disaster, unlock some funds desperately needed? I'm sure you've seen thousands of women in purple out on the streets today. They're everywhere. Their message is loud. Speaking about the G20, because they're doing this obviously ahead of the G20, South Africa did get its precious leaders declaration, but only after some heavy arm twisting and a few watered down lines on gender. And Pretoria standing firm against a last minute American scramble. Washington wanted to send a junior diplomat to collect the G20 handover, and South Africa basically said absolutely not. That is not how it works. We've also got a look ahead of sport, a wrap of sport, and we'll ease you into the weekend with a Good Times Guide. Love to hear from you. Send us a voice note or a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702.
walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, I'm sure you've seen thousands of women flooding the streets across the country in a sea of purple. The message is women have had enough of gender-based violence, enough of femicide. And then today, the government formally classifies gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster. It's a legal recognition that GBVF has reached a scale and urgency defined in the Disaster Management Act. The NDMC says updated evidence shows GBVF poses immediate risk to life and meets the threshold of a potential disaster. This classification strengthens coordination across government, but doesn't exactly trigger emergency powers. And my question is, I mean, we know how bad this is, right? We know there are stories. It's a crisis. Women are being killed. Women are being raped at an astonishing scale. I believe, one at least every 15 minutes. So why does the government not go the full hog and declare it a national disaster? We know that the president was speaking about it yesterday, but again, it seems that we deal with these issues once we've got the world's eyes on us. Carlo Peterson is out and about with the women in the Western Cape, and the Women for Change shutdown is happening at the moment. Carlo, what are you seeing? What are women saying?
Good afternoon, Jane. Yes, so hundreds of women dressed in black have gathered here at the Sunglasses statue on Sea Point Promenade to answer the call by Women for Change for a demonstration to highlight gender-based violence in the country. Part of the call to action from the NGO is for women to refrain from participating in the economy. They are also hosting lie-downs throughout the country from 12 to 12:15 today. And this group here have just about almost finished their lie-down. Hundreds of them can be seen laying across the grass here at the promenade. And of course, we spoke to some of them earlier today. We know that the call from Women for Change is for government to declare gender-based violence a national disaster. But the women who have gathered here today are saying they're also here to support women who are victims of gender-based violence and who have been silenced by their perpetrators and the trauma they experienced.
Have they told you what they go through on a daily basis, what it is they're seeing in their communities?
Yes, so one of the women we spoke to from Steenberg says she is literally living in fear, says when she leaves her home, she has to always be looking over her shoulder and living in that constant state of fear. Also, obviously, has an impact on her children. She mentioned she has 2 daughters who she brought along with her here today to also show support to the cause to have gender-based violence declared a national disaster.
And if they don't get their way, what then?
Well, we haven't heard anything from the organizers about that. Yesterday, we did hear from Women for Change, them saying that they're quite happy that the president reiterated, his stance with regard to gender-based violence, saying that the country had declared it a national disaster in the past, and they were inclined to do so once again.
All right, Carla Peterson, let's leave it there and then head over to the seat of power in the country. Our reporter, Tokozo Kumalo, is there. Tokozo, I believe that there are big numbers out and about as well, wearing their black and their purple. What do they want to see from this?
Hi, Mandy. So what people are saying is that they're tired of having these demonstrations, tired of having these endless protests and speaking about the same thing. They want tangible solutions. I mean, they are happy that the president had said that this is a national crisis, but what after? What next? Is there tangible things that they can see that is going to be implemented in the legislation where they can actually feel that there is some change?
All right. I know you've been speaking to a couple of them, and let's just listen to what one of the protesters had to say.
We want to take this opportunity to not make it just a national shutdown, but let it be a global shutdown. Have our global organizations amplify the issue and maybe start a fire, hopefully start a fire in all the other places.
I mean, I'm intrigued. I've been hearing this fiery talk coming from so many. I mean, how far are they prepared to push this? I mean, we're constantly hearing about gender-based violence and femicide being taken seriously, but quite frankly, very little to almost nothing has been done.
Yes. No, that is true. And they have also voiced the very same issue, saying that nothing has been done. In fact, one woman that I heard, she was actually explaining this to one man and saying, why are we here? She shared that she was gang raped years ago and nothing was done. So they say they're tired. They aren't at the wit's end. They just want more to be done, tangible solutions. They want the government to be responsive. They want the police to be able to actually file cases, that they actually feel safe to even go and report in police stations. So many have said the very same thing, that we have been speaking, and at this point in time, we don't know what more to do because a lot of bodies have been dropping, and right now they're at wit's end.
Understandable. All right, we're going to keep on with this conversation because we've got the Department of Women and Children on the line, the spokesperson, Cassius Salala. Good to have you with us.
Good day to all the listeners of 702 and good day to you too.
I mean, it's quite embarrassing, isn't it, that it takes this thousands of women to hit the streets, G20 leaders coming to our shores in order for the government to make some sort of declaration.
I don't want to say it's an embarrassing, but it's a strategic call that civil society has always been in the forefront of calling for end of gender-based violence. They have done that with the formulation of the National Strategic Plan on ending gender-based violence, a living document that was committed to both government, civil society, and private sector in order to really respond to the crisis that we are confronted with. It is a document that requires multi-sectoral response, and government on its own has said we need all of us hands on deck to deal with this sketch.
Yeah, but I mean, we've heard this before and absolutely nothing happened. So what's going to change now? I mean, government has now formally classified gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster. Why only classified?
Of course, and I don't think it's fair to say nothing has been done. Work has been happening. The challenge that we have, it's a men who continue to violate women's human rights, and we are speaking unapologetic about that such it's not supposed to be tolerated, and our constitution is quite clear on that. It speaks on protecting everybody's human rights, in particular those who are vulnerable, and in this case we're referring to women, youth, and persons with disabilities.
All right, so let's go back again to why government isn't just moving straight to a full declaration, which will unlock much needed.
The Department of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities is responsible for advocacy and mainstreaming of women's rights, among other things. The issue of declaration and classification doesn't rest with us.
Yeah, but aren't you disappointed that it hasn't?
In our effort to mainstream and advocate for rights of women in particular, we will continue to engage in all stakeholders, including government departments, private sector, and civil society, to find a lasting solution through the NSP, which has been adopted by all of us during the consultation process in 2020.
Okay, if this is not tackled, and I mean it just seems to be going at a snail's pace, where do you see us in 5 years' time?
We shouldn't even cut aspersion to say this will not be tackled if we are committed together as South Africans to say we can't continue to violate other human rights, and particularly women's rights. We call on men, we call on boys, we call on civil society, we call on churches and traditional leaders to really speak a message of change towards South Africans. We are going to be launching 16 days of activism next week, Tuesday, wherein we call on media as well to be part of our approach to say even the kind of content that you are projected, whether on social media, whether in public spaces, must be the message of protection, must be the message of saying women are human beings like the rest of us and they cannot be violated.
I mean, I've got a message here from Jenny who says, we've seen recently, referring to the Epstein files, etc., that that victims need to be heard and believed. Do you think that's one of the problems happening in this country, that victims are not heard by the people who need to hear them?
And that's where the problem is. We speak of victims. We're not speaking of perpetrators. Our message must be direct and specific to perpetrators, that this kind of toxic masculinity that is always projected towards women must come to an end. And government has never been shy to speak on that. We are consistent and we are very committed to the message of saying gender-based violence cannot be tolerated in society. It cannot be that when today's civil society is speaking and government is projected at the left side that they're not doing anything. We have law enforcement. The 6 pillars of the strategic plan on gender-based violence is quite emphatic, and there's progress that we are making in this case. But there are those rotten potatoes, and I'm referring to rotten potatoes, hypothetically speaking, as men who are committed to violate women's rights.
All right. Well, thank you for your focus on that, and good to talk to you today. Cassius Silala, thank you very much.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Right, we're talking about the tens of thousands of women who are on the streets today, the fact that government has classified gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster. Kamawini Movavana is on the line, gender scholar and activist. And people who are listening to us, I mean, I'd love to hear from you. 072 702 1702, the Cape Talk number 072 567 1567. If you have any experience of this and what it is that you want to see changing in South Africa and changing now. Dama, good to have you with us. What's your message today? Why are you focusing on self-defense rather than today being a protest?
Good afternoon, Jane, and really good afternoon to the women and children and the LGBTQI persons who are observing this important day, especially those who are on the ground. I think more than anything, Jane, today is an important day because women, children, and LGBTQI people are just drawing a line. I think we're saying that violence against women, children, and the community is not normal. It's not acceptable, and it cannot be managed by or with, rather, slow politics. It has to be treated like the emergency that it is. I'm sure that you've seen the petition that was signed. I think it had over 1 million signatures.
That's right.
And you've seen the purple wave on social media as well. people on the ground today who are observing it are saying that enough is enough. Women are under siege. I cannot, Jane, go for a run. I have to think 2 or 3 times before going on a jog. Women don't feel safe in spaces, at work, at home. And I think more than anything, women are really demanding that GBVF be declared a national crisis. We want emergency funding unlocked. We want, fast-tracked coordination. And we really want government to just bypass those slow, bureaucratic systems. We don't want symbolic commitments, that cannot save lives. We really want emergency systems unlocked. And I think that's what today is about, Jane.
Okay, so what is your response to the fact that the government has only classified gender-based violence? Why haven't they declared it a national disaster? That's taking it right to the top, unlocking all the resources necessary to try and at least put a bit of a dent in this.
Yeah. I think, Jane, it's important to put into context that the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide was created through the National Council of the GBVF Act, and it was signed into law in May 2024, if I'm not mistaken. And I think your previous guest also alluded to this or spoke about it. And it was established to really, coordinate efforts across government and civil society to really oversee the implementation of the National Strategic Plan. And we welcomed that step. I think, women and organizations and academics and feminists really, really did. But structures do not automatically translate into safety. And I think it's important to remember that. And I think since its creation then, we have not seen any kind of rapid system-wide change that women need. Shelters still remain underfunded, conviction rates remain really extremely low, and violence has not slowed at the speed the crisis actually demands. And we welcome yesterday's speech from our president. We really do. Ours is not to dismiss it. We welcome, what the president said in classifying it or announcing it as a crisis. But language actually matters. Women are not dying from a lack of acknowledgement. They are dying from a lack of emergency action. And a crisis that is not backed up by disaster-level powers or any kind of resources, it's not going to help us. It won't help us in practical terms. Women are dying every 2.5 hours in the country, Jane. And I think that outside of that declaration that the president made, we really need to see real action. What does that actually translate to? We don't just need a speech. We need him to say, this is how it exactly is going to assist us on the ground.
I'm going to put something to you that a listener suggested, and briefly, if you will, but I'd like you to respond because I think this is quite important. Women must change their lifestyle. Women are the cause of their issues due to lifestyle.
I think that's a problematic statement to even make on radio.
I want you to decide, because this is one of the fundamental problems in our country, right?
Definitely a problematic statement to make. And the focus here, and I think as per your previous caller, the focus here is not on the victims, it's on the perpetrators.
Correct.
It's on the deep systemic culture that has been ingrained in our boys, in the men, in the country. I think if you read my op-ed, I even alluded to a situation where last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a WhatsApp group chat that was leaked on WhatsApp. And the language that was used by the misogynistic men in that particular group chat, where they were speaking about women as if they were commodities. And that also led to one of them losing their jobs, and there was this outcry on social media about how can this person lose their job just because they spoke about women in that manner. That is the problem. That is what we need to focus on. It is the cultural shift. It is the shift in systems, and I think that's why the national shutdown is happening today. G20 leaders are meeting to speak about solidarity, to speak about equality, to speak about sustainability. But how are we focusing on those pillars? Sustainability is impossible when women's lives are disposable. World leaders, Jane, really can't meet meaningfully today to discuss global progress when half of the population in the country is unsafe. There cannot be any sustainable development built on unsafe women. And I think it's important to focus on that.
And it's never the woman's fault. Kamakwini, Mavavana, thank you very much.
Afternoon, Jane. When somebody gets convicted in South Africa of rape, even although they get a 20-year sentence, they generally are out between 3 and 5 years. And that is for those that get convicted. We're not taking this seriously. We have got a huge problem in this country, and we need a different way of managing the violence and aggression that men meter out to women and other men.
Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Good times is what life is all about. But heartburn, indigestion, acid reflux and UTIs can put a damper on your day. With a wide range of products from Adcock Ingram OTC, you can build a survival pack to help you and your family with your gut and urinary health. Adcock Ingram OTC has you covered with products like Citrus Soda, Adco Mayo Gel, Scopex and LP299V. Ask your pharmacist for a host of Adcock Ingram OTC solutions for your gut and urinary problems and visit beprepared365.co.za.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car full of groceries and a lady who will be attempting to make her mother-in-law's famous recipe for the family dinner tonight.
5 mils of sugar.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's butterflies and a potential bonding moment. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your number one choice. Home in One has it all.
In case you missed it, 702 was in conversation with Santam about Santam's partnership with the G20 taking place in Johannesburg.
We've got an opportunity because Africa has got the youngest population, and that there needs to be focused in terms of harnessing this critical skill. But Africa is also prone and vulnerable to natural disasters. So what we've done, for instance, as Santam, is use the same template of a program like P4R to actually expand some of the programs to countries like Namibia.
Santam is a proud sponsor of the G20 Summit. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer, and the controlling company for its group of companies.
Because this journey is better taken together.
Let's walk the talk. 702.
I've been asking you about your experience of what you've seen today. Tens of thousands of women and men on the streets in black and purple, trying to highlight this problem that we have in this country, this extraordinary problem of rape and murder. And reading a couple of messages here, I don't know if you want to be mentioned, but after being raped, robbed, car stolen, police didn't even want to open a case for me. It took me 3 days to convince SAPS to open a case. By then, there is no DNA, there is no evidence. My case was not attended to because the rapist's cousin works at SAPS. And we know so often that police make it quite hard for women who have undergone this incredible trauma. Vasco de Gama says the Department of Women and Children not taking the plea of GBVF seriously. We've heard all of the lovely things about the NSP, yet to no avail. We raped, killed and traumatized over and over again in the courts with a delay of action. Angie is saying perpetrators should be castrated, finished and calm. And the problem is that so often the victims, those who've been affected, those perpetrators, those youngsters, those men who've never dealt with their traumas become the perpetrators themselves. Good to hear from you. Keep those messages coming in. I'm Jane Dutton in for Mandy Wiener, and it's 12:30. Time for the news headlines.
Thanks, Jane. Good afternoon. Government has officially classified gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster. It follows growing concerns over the abuse of women and children in the country. Cooperative Governance Minister Velenkosini Tembisa announced that the National Disaster Management Centre has moved to formalize the classification. At the same time, some demonstrators at the nationwide shutdown at Constitution Hill in Johannesburg say they need more tangible solutions to end the crisis of gender-based violence and femicide. Non-profit organisation Women for Change is spearheading a nationwide demonstration today. They're also urging everyone who's participating to lie down for 15 minutes representing the women who are killed daily in the country. And police have made another breakthrough in the double murder of a principal and a clerk at the Tembisa school, with a second suspect being arrested in connection with the crime. Earlier this week, the principal and an employee at the Inliweni primary school were shot while preparing for a meeting at around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yesterday, police announced the arrest of a 26-year-old woman who is believed to have played a part and a role in the murder. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Tolagele Mganga. We start in Perth, where it stumps on the first day of the first Ashes Test. Australia closed on 123 for 9. That's 49 runs behind England as Ben Stokes took 5 wickets after tea. Earlier, the English were bowled out for 172 as Mitchell Starc claimed career best figures of 7 for 58. For the Proteas, they'll play India in the second test of the series tomorrow. They'll be without Kagiso Rabada for the clash after he failed to recover from a rib injury, while Captain Themba Bavuma has discussed his options.
Kagiso, he's been ruled out, so he won't be involved. Ngidi, he's been added to the squad. In terms of the starting 11, we'll finalize that tomorrow once we've had one last look at the wicket. Wicket looks a lot more fresher than Kolkata, a little bit more grass on the wicket, so I guess visibly it looks like it'll play a lot better.
And Dane Van Kirk has been recalled to the Proteas women's T20 and ODI squads for their upcoming white ball tour against Ireland in December. Coach Mandla Mashimbi has selected her for the national squad for the first time since September 2021. That follows the reversal of international retirement.
She's been quite consistent the last 2 seasons. Last season she scored runs and she started well this season as well. So I think it would be a no-brainer not to pick a player who is in such good form. Obviously, her name comes with a lot of previous stuff in terms of her being captain and having done well for the team before. But I think she has earned a call-up based on the performances that she's put the last 2 seasons.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour in the Kempton Park area heading towards Joburg, there's road closures. This is on the R21 southbound between Atlas Road and Fuatraka Road. This is all due to the G20 delegate convoys making their way through to Sandton and Nasrec. So at this stage, if you're heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, expect about a 20-minute delay from the R23 Benoni off-ramp. Other routes restricted to traffic include the R24 westbound. That's between Barbara Road and the Gilulis interchange. As a result, you can expect about a 20-minute delay leaving Boksburg. That's on the N12 westbound between Croft Road and the R24 merge. There's also road restrictions on the N3 northbound between the Gilulis interchange and the Patlu interchange, and that's causing heavy delays leaving Germiston heading towards Midrand on the N3 northbound between the Galdenes interchange and Gilulis. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a parent and a nervous but excited kid practicing her lines to put on a show-stopping performance at the school play. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a future superstar on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Progress builds.
it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa. With a 1 billion rand investment into education in our host communities, $15 million pledged to the Global Fund to support community-based health services, 1.6 billion rand in deals facilitated through our Impact Finance Network. And as a sponsor of B20 and G20, we're bringing that same spirit of partnership to a global stage, proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. South Africa has a partner. Join the conversation on social media. Anglo-American, mining potential, building beyond.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actis-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Dial-A-Bed Black Friday sale is now on with 20% off absolutely everything. Start Black Friday shopping today and save thousands on all our best brands. 40 Winks, Sealy, Simmons, Dunlopillow, King Coil in all sizes, all less 20% and all ready for fast delivery. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
You can build a better future with 10x Investments, your guide to crafting a legacy the right way. Catch 702 in conversation with 10x Investments next Monday. Discover how you can secure your future financial wealth, one smart investment at a time. Don't miss 702 in conversation with 10x Investments this next Monday on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Hi, Jane. I do support the cause, and yes, we must stop violence against women and children. It's not right, and if people see something, they certainly must say something and speak up. But I also want to refer you to statistics that were released this year, and specifically just noting the first quarter, January to March. Of the 5,800 almost murders that were committed in South Africa, almost 5,000 of the victims were men. That's a 6-to-1 ratio. So what is being done to also protect the men in society that are being slaughtered? Have a good one.
You're absolutely right. That is an issue that is overlooked, and it shouldn't be. And again, you were talking about those perpetuating issues and the perpetrators, often the victims becoming the perpetrators because a lot of these issues are not handled with, these traumas aren't dealt with. But it really is something we've got to get down to the bottom with. I mean, somebody says we're making it a storm in a teacup, and it just shows you people are not aware of what's happening out there. And we need to know the only way we can deal with this is if we confront it head on and stop all the chat. We want to see action. Let's talk about what's been going on with the G20. And we know that South Africa's Sherpas sealed a deal just after dawn, after working throughout the night, finally landing the leaders' declaration Pretoria fought so hard for, obviously with watered-down language, sadly. And then at the same time, we got a curveball. The US, after storming off in a huff, suddenly wanted back in, asking to send its charge d'affaires for Sunday's handover. Ramaphosa said, no head of state, not here, not ever, you can forget about it. Tembisa Fakuda, international relations expert, a very good afternoon to you. How's this going to play out now with Ramaphosa rejecting the US's limp offer?
Yeah, well, Ramaphosa is now playing politics. He's been emboldened, especially after Trump's U-turn on not sending any of the US officials to attend the G20. So we have a Ramaphosa who's now playing politics, and I think he would have come to this decision if he doesn't have a backing from other leaders of the G20, particularly the Europeans.
I mean, it's good to see him toughen up, isn't it? Which is exactly what we do need. I mean, can we see a new alignment happening? The US losing a lot of credibility, tainting with its funding of a genocide and playing this silly game with South Africa.
Yes, I think so. I mean, two things that I think are significant. One is Ramaphosa's possibility of surviving a possible coup within the ANC, because there have been a lot of talks about him living. So this puts him in a much more stronger position in terms of his alliances with the with other foreign leaders, and basically his position as an African leader, a strong man, tongue-in-cheek in terms of leading the African politics. But secondly, I think this is going to also assist South Africa as it continues to look for alternative markets and alliances moving forward after what the United States has done with the tariffs, and also the possibility of not renewing AGOA. So you have Ramaphosa who's going to be going in Africa, lobbying on behalf of Africans, but importantly, redirecting large part of economic activity from South Africa and the African continent to other parts of the world, particularly to Europeans and China.
What are the backdoor conversations that we're likely to see over the weekend?
Well, I think the three discussions that I think mainly going to be parallel to other political global discussions that G20 has already reached consensus on. One will be the rare earth minerals business or interaction between Africa and the rest of the world. Africans are calling for the beneficiation, in other words, no longer sending raw material and bringing them back as finished products. They want to see factories and other manufacturing plants open in Africa that will facilitate that business. The other point that I think is going to be a big discussion is the restructuring of the debt. Africans still paying the colonial debt, and many of them are saying enough is enough. It's either you scrap it or we redesign it, because that's impacting on the development of Africa. And I think the other last important issue is going to be the climate change or just energy transition. Africans are saying we're not part of the years of degradation of our environment, and we have resources, particularly South Africa, with huge reserves of coal. We can use it if we want to, and you are telling us that we must transition into cleaner energies by shutting down the coal-fueled or fired plants. For us to do that, we need you to pay. So that's going to be another discussion that's going to dominate.
Okay, exciting weekend ahead. Tembisa Fakude, international relations expert. Thank you.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
So with the G20 summit kicking off tomorrow, South Africa's Border Management Authority says the country's entry points have handled the influx of world leaders without any disruptions. Mike Masiapato, the Commissioner from the Border Management Authority, is on the line. A good afternoon to you. Tell us what you've been seeing.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Jane. And maybe just to indicate, yes, indeed, as the Border Management Authority being part of the nut joints in as far as the preparation of the G20 is concerned, we just wanted to confirm that, yes, in the past 24 hours, we have been able to successfully receive a number of heads of states, whether they are presidents or prime ministers, and we have been able to successfully process them into the country together with their delegations. We are fairly receiving them in three key areas: the OR Tambo International Airport, Lanseria International Airport, Waterkloof Air Force Base, together with Fireblade within OR Tambo itself. So up to this point, everything has been proceeding very well. We didn't have any challenge. However, we are still expecting a lot more during the course of today, as well as overnight into tomorrow.
All right. And security, I should imagine that you've pretty much got that covered.
Yes, indeed. In as much as we are responsible for border management as the BMA, but we do work together with our sister other, organs of state that are responsible for national security matters, whether it is state security agency, is the police, but also our colleagues from the military. So all of the critical ports of entry are fully secured, both in terms of your inner perimeter as well as your outer perimeter, just to make sure that we don't have any incident in the process that we do in terms of the facilitation of all of the guests that are coming through into the country.
All right, it sounds good. Thank you for updating us on what's happening on our borders as we see an influx, a very welcome influx. Mike Masiapato, Commissioner of the Border Management Authority.
For 3 consecutive years, Nedbank has been recognized as the best investment bank in South Africa at the Global Banking and Finance Review Awards. Whether helping clients navigate cross-border risks or building financing frameworks that support market reform, Nedbank is a partner in more than just capital. We're part of the architecture supporting Africa's renewable energy future. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
There's something magical about booking your next getaway. Whether you're flying for business or leisure, Airlink is ready to take you there in premium comfort. With over 45 destinations in 15 African countries, Airlink connects you throughout Southern Africa and beyond. No middle seats, just wider window or aisle seating. And yes, free luggage, snacks and beverages are still our thing. Plus, our Skybucks frequent flyer program rewards you every time you fly. Book on flyairlink.com or your travel agent. Fly Airlink, the freedom of the African sky.
Experience a unique musical journey as the Mzansi National Philharmonic Orchestra presents its national tour, featuring legendary conductor Marin Alsop and homegrown global sensation Abel Selauchwe. The program includes Selauchwe's Four Spirits Cello Concerto, paired with Rachmaninoff's Romantic Symphony No. 2. Concerts take place at the Linda Auditorium on Wednesday the 10th and Thursday the 11th of December. Book your tickets now at Quicket.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Because this journey is better taken together.
Let's walk the talk. 702.
Jane, that voice note. Yes, the ratio is 6-1, but who's killing men? Other men. So are we going to are we going to genderize this thing, or are we going to say men should stop being violent? Because it's men who's killing men and men who are killing women. A small amount of them are cases where females are killing men, but it is outweighed by the vast majority. Come on, men.
I support Women for Change. On the Cape Flats, innocent children are shot every day, yet the army is deployed to guard the super rich at the G20 and not to guard little children. From Anonymous. Bye.
Yeah, good points, both of you. Thank you for those messages. Now, South Africa and the European Union used today's pre-G20 briefing to lock in a deeper economic partnership centered on critical minerals and the shift to cleaner industries. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN parliamentary reporter, has been listening in on this. Tell us more what came out of this, Lindsay.
Good afternoon, Jane. Well, the EU leaders praising South Africa for putting multilateralism at the center of its G20 agenda. You couldn't help but get the sense that there were some swipes being made at the United States without it being said, categorically. Ursula von der Leyen, the EU president, saying that the bloc would double down on rules-based trade. She said now more than ever, bilateralism was important, making partnerships, cooperating on key matters, as you've pointed out, renewable energy, critical minerals, fairer financing, and harnessing artificial intelligence and digital inclusion. These are some of the things the EU leaders say they are doubling down on, won't renege on, and they are more determined than ever to develop more partnerships as they move to meet with the African Union next week, Jane.
Thank you, Lindsay Dentlinger.
Team, summer is game time in Mzansi. Every tap, scan, swipe, it all adds up. And FNB is giving us big rewards, partner deals, e-bucks, defense tips, and chances to score experiences money can't buy. But you're only in the game if you pay with FNB. So stay sharp, spend clever, and let's dominate. Get in the game with FNB. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. NCRCP 20. T's and C's, earn rules and limits apply.
Your uncle says buy the other brand.
he also still uses a Hotmail address. You do you. You do Mini, the Mini Countryman. Available from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. Select offer only available from Mini Financial Services, a division of BMW Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Offer exclusively applies to the Mini Countryman. Initiation and service fee apply. Offer linked to the current prime rate, calculated on a 10% deposit, 48 monthly installments, final GFV payment, and 80,000 kilometer contract limit. Changes to the deal and optional extras will impact finance offer. Offer valid until 31 December, subject to stock availability. T's and C's apply.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Think radio is out of reach? Think again. With Prime Media Credit, you can get your brand on 947, 702, KFM 94.5 and Cape Talk now and pay later. Flexible finance, big impact. Email advertise@primemedia.co.za. Prime Media Credit, powered by Bridgement.
Sports Wrap.
Sports Wrap.
With Tolagele Mganga.
It's been busy, right?
Absolutely, Jane.
All right, let's kick off with the Ashes.
Yes, it's probably one of my favorite test series. Anytime England and Australia go up against each other, it's a battle of two teams that South Africans hate the most. So it doesn't matter who wins or loses as long as they're having fun. Today was day one of that first Ashes test. We know that Australia reached stumps on 123 for the loss of 9. They trailed by 49 runs. I think the funniest part of the build-up to the Ashes was yesterday's pre-match press conference by Steve Smith, because Monty Panesar had mentioned Sandpaper Gate, that of course we know we were involved in Cape Town a few years ago, where he was saying, oh, the Australians might cheat to make sure that they win the series. And then Steve Smith had to come back and say, I'm not going to take advice or opinions of someone who sucks at general knowledge seriously. So if people want to check it out, Cricket Australia have a funny video, because there was a time Monty Panesar was playing, I think, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yes.
He didn't even know that America was a country. It's a very embarrassing video, and I'm sure he was very embarrassed to see it come back to life. But it's those little things, those little niggles between Australia and England that you look forward to. But then for the South Africans as well, we've got the Proteas who return to test action tomorrow in that second test against India. Of course, we know we pretty much pulled off a miracle in the first game. This time around, we are looking to seal the series against India. There will be no Kagiso Rabada because he has a rib injury, but hopefully
there are quite a few injuries.
There are quite a few injuries. It's a whole debate about just how clogged the calendar is, because if they're not playing for the Proteas, then a lot of them are playing in the IPL or they're playing in other T20 competitions, because ultimately you play a sport to make money, even though you are very talented, and you want to make sure by the time you retire, you're financially comfortable. So it is very filled. The Proteas have tried to kind of balance Kagiso's schedule in order to give him rest, but sometimes the body, when it's tired, it's tired. So he won't be available for tomorrow's second test. Lungi Ngidi might come into that one, but Themba Bavuma has said that they've made no final decisions ahead of tomorrow's first day.
And what do you think? We're going to do well?
We better. I think the high of pulling off the impossible in that first test, and then India also have quite a number of injuries and former legends speaking against them at the moment. I think that's also playing on their mind, but you never want to be in a position where you think you've got it in the bag even before you started playing. 5 days is a long time, especially on the subcontinent, and especially when the players that did well the first test might not necessarily be in the best form coming into the second test. So I think we can be quietly confident. The great thing is we can't lose the series, which is always a positive.
Yes, we do like that. And what about the Premier League? The title race is certainly heating up, right?
Absolutely. We look at the fact that before the international break, Manchester City beat Liverpool on a slot, saying that they practically need a miracle at this point to stand any chance of retaining their title. I do think come January, February, that's really where you can really assess the title race. But at the moment, Arsenal are 6 points clear. They seem to be clicking into gear. They're making sure that they're not conceding any goals. Even if they are winning 1-0, they do look confident. Mikel Arteta has really found a great system within, especially set pieces. But they definitely have a hard task this weekend. They take on Tottenham Hotspur. The other games to look forward to see Liverpool up against Nottingham Forest. Manchester United play on Monday against Everton, while Manchester City up against Newcastle. But club football is back, and I
busy.
think a lot of people are excited about that. And then on the domestic front, we do have the Betway Premiership that takes place, but 3 of our teams are involved in CAF competitions. In the Champions League, we've got Mamelodi Sundowns that are up against St. Eloi Lupopo. Orlando Pirates fans know that club very, very well. And in the CAF Confed Cup, Kaizer Chiefs are away to Al Masri, while Stellenbosch host Otto de Oyo.
Wow.
It's a lot to look forward to. There's also Formula One. There's also other sports. There's tennis. Lots of things to do.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about the Springboks. Back in the camp, balancing experimentation with the pressure to keep their standards intact. How are they doing?
Well, you look at the fact that this is the penultimate test for them. We're kind of getting into the business end, because we have to remember that the World Cup is coming up in 2027. I know people will think, oh, why does Rassie constantly make the changes? He has to be in that frame of mind where he has to know exactly who he wants to take with him to Australia, who has a possibility of kind of being a bench player, and which players are really struggling to make it up to international level. So I think against Ireland, an Ireland team that at the last World Cup were the world number ones, and in their head they still think that if they beat the Boks, they're the best team in the world. I don't know how that happens. We have the trophies at the end of the day. So for
you got to be in that mindset.
Exactly.
Right? Yes. Otherwise, don't take to the pitch.
Exactly. So we've had 3 straight defeats at the Aviva Stadium. And as this team kind of starts to build momentum to defending their title again, you want to make sure that against your toughest rivals, you are sending out a mark and sending out a message to say, there's a reason we're the top dog, and you guys can't just take that title recklessly.
And tell me, tennis, my favorite.
It's been the Davis Cup. It's been very interesting. Spain, of course, without Carlos Alcaraz, and Italy that haven't had Yannick Sinner. But I think it's nice to see the other emerging talents. A majority of this year has really been filled up with that Sinner-Alcaraz storyline. So now you get to see what other players have to offer. It is difficult for like the purists, because a lot of them follow the individual. So if they're not playing, they're not interested. But in a team event, if you're Spain, if you're in Italy, you're looking at such events to say, let's just focus on getting the trophy in the cabinet. It doesn't matter who is or who isn't available. What is important for us is to make sure that we're representing our country and we're doing it well.
Tolekele, thank you very much.
Good things.
Good things.
With Brent Lindecky.
It's Friday, and we know it's always speak to the good things guy. Brent Lindecky is unable to join us in the studio today, but he did send a voice note. And the good things guy with Brent Lindecky is brought to you by Bonitas Medical Aid for South Africa.
Hey, what's happening, 702 and Cape Talk listeners? Brent Lindecky, your good things guy here, with some feel-good news for you on this Friday. First up, on Cape Town's Lion's Head, a 70-year-old woman injured her ankle during the steep descent and found herself unable to continue. Sandparks Ranger Robbie van der Ross stepped in without hesitation, lifting her onto his back and carrying her down the mountain. The journey took real strength and patience as he navigated narrow pathways and rocky sections, all while keeping her calm and comfortable. Fellow hikers praised the ranger for his care and compassion, calling the moment a reminder of the everyday heroes who keep our trails and South Africa a little bit safer. Next, at Wits University, final year civil engineering student Navani Tishkosi has turned what began as a one-man side hustle into a growing business that is now creating more jobs. His company, HRA Transportation, started with helping students move residences and has expanded into logistics, fridge rentals, and storage services, assisting more than 200 clients to date. Navani's innovation has earned him awards locally and abroad, and he's building a model that offers practical, affordable solutions while giving young people real work opportunities. It's the kind of entrepreneurship South Africa needs more of. And lastly, in Cape Town hospitals, young patients recently received a surprise superhero visit from Batman as part of the Visions of Joy charity. Dressed in full character, Batman moved from room to room with the Children's Hospital Trust, handing out gifts, posing for photos, and spending time with children undergoing the toughest of treatments. Nurses said the visit changed the mood of the entire ward, bringing laughter, excitement, and a sense of bravery to kids who truly needed the lift. Parents described it as a moment of pure kindness in a place that often feels very heavy. And that's your feel-good roundup for today. If you want more of these good stories, you can visit www.goodthingsguy.com. I'm sending you all the love kindness. And like I say, every single week, wishing you only good things.
Get the care you need when you need it with Bonitas, the medical aid for South Africa with strong reserves and financial performance. Bonitas can afford to pay your claims and was voted the #1 medical aid in the Ask Africa Orange Index. Choose from a range of plans tailored to meet your needs. Visit bonitas.co.za and find your plan. T's and C's apply.
The Midday Report.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. And that's it from me, Jane Dutton, and the rest of the team. Good being with you. It's 1 o'clock. Time for the news.
This is EWN.
Government officially classifies GBVF a national disaster, and G20 leaders continue to arrive ahead of the Leaders' Summit. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Government has officially classified gender